Hey Bandidos, yep, I'm bringing you another modifier nullifier. This is a 1.9 million armor shotgun build that can one-tap enemies, bringing you ridiculous damage numbers and levels of survivability. So much armor, and if you're hating that shock ammo, yep, we are loaded up with hazard protection. It's a build that protects and destroys, making you a tank with a boomstick. Let's get into it.
Piece of shit wristwatch.
It is all blue. I mean, completely blue. We're running the Momento, and it's all about its bonus armor. That's why we're doing it. The 3% armor regen is nice. So is the damage, but we don't really need any of that stuff because we're playing into all of the good and none of the bad when it comes to the modifiers. So every time we get a kill, we're going to get 10% bonus armor for every blue core we have. We have 6 blue cores, so that's about 1.2 million in bonus armor for a single trophy pickup. And we can stack that. And that's why you see me running around with crazy loads of armor. And that's really important because it allows me to drop my shield, which is a giant bullet magnet if you think about it, and kind of run more freely and allow the bonus armor to absorb the damage because we're going to refresh it really fast and they have a really hard time chewing through it. Otherwise, we got 3% armor regen coming from that backpack. I'm running 4 pieces of Hunter's Fury and it's giving us 15% shotgun damage, 20% armor on kill. So we got the 60% bonus armor on kill plus this 20% armor on kill. We have Apex Predator. So any enemy standing within 15 meters of us is going to get hit with 20% amplified damage, and we can stack that when we're chain killing by 5% more amplified damage. Every kill is going to disorient enemies that are around them within a 5-meter range. Everything basically looks like this. So I have armor and hazard protection, and this one has got shock resistance there, but you can also put protection from elites. It's not really important that you have shock resistance there, but what was I going to do? The gloves, the knee pads, and the holster. Now the chest piece, I'm running y'all gear for 10% hazard protection. This is one that I crafted. And then I put protection from elites on this. By the way, I do have protection from elites on the backpack. So we got 2 of those, and I really like this with protection from elites. Also put shock resistance there, but protection from elites just mattered so much more because that translates over to your shield and it makes your shield that much stronger also. Headhunter is what's most important about your chest piece. So we're playing into headshots. This is a headshot shotgun build. It's what allows you to one-tap even bosses. And in my opinion, that's really important for shotguns because you just don't have a lot of ammo. It's okay to body shot dudes from time to time, but you do a lot of that, you're going to be reloading a lot also. So with Headhunter, we're getting the 1,250% of your headshot damage from your last headshot damage killing blow. And before we move on to the other stuff, I want to let you know you don't have to run a yaw here, but if you can, that's great. But I realize a lot of people are limited on their yaw gear, and it's really important that you have that chest piece talent. So I did run another option here, Bellstone. That's going to give you 1% armor regen and then hazard protection. And Palisades would also work in this slot, but what's important is that you have that hazard protection there if you can. Weapon handling is awesome, headshot damage also, and then Headhunter. So let's look at our stats here because this is an important detail. We have 70% hazard protection on the build, and then I have a little bit more for the shock, pushing this at 78%, but my mod is in bad shape, so it could be higher. I felt like this was good enough. I didn't really need to push it higher, and that's because of the modifiers. We're gonna get into the modifiers in a moment, but just so you know, I'm running the bait and switch. So enemies that are in short and medium range are gonna give us 12% hazard protection per enemy. Because you're clobbering enemies, you're basically jumping in the mosh pit, this is going to be activated a lot. So I did catch on fire or get hit by shock ammo from time to time, but we had so much hazard protection, it wasn't that painful. We have the protection from elites on top of that, and it was just rare. And for being so exposed, we should be getting shocked like every other second. So this build works. The real danger to the build is actually body flinch. So you want to play fast and be as accurate as possible. What I mean is when you jump in front of 5 enemies and they're all shooting you at the same time, the game is going to torture you to death. It's going to be really hard to land your shots. For some reason, they're just all missing. You're like, man, I swear I'm landing that shot, and it just keeps saying miss, miss, miss. And that's because you're taking a lot of body flinch, and the game forces misses on you. And that's where that dude jumps in and says, dude, you need to get better with your aim. Yeah, well, the game forces you to miss. That's where the disorient status effect kicks in. So just get that first kill stagger everybody, and then from there, just slow down a little bit and target those heads. This build isn't for those that aren't initiated with the shotguns yet, because shotguns are difficult to use in the Division 2. You have to have really good flanking patterns, you have to be fast, you have to be comfortable with the risk-reward play style and using your bonus armor to your benefit, because it's about speed. What you don't want to be doing is sludging along with your shield popped out. In these cases, I'd rather my body or my bonus armor be absorbing the damage than my shield, because if my shield breaks, I'm screwed because I'm dizzy. I lose my last barrier of defense if I need it. So I pop it open by habit a lot as I get within range of enemies. Otherwise, I'm confident that I'm going to get that kill. I pick up the bonus armor, I get the next kill, refresh that bonus armor, and you just got nasty numbers. For the damage stats, the only thing that we really care about is headshot damage, and we're pretty low here, and we're okay with that. Let's look at the shotgun. I'm running the Spaz 12 shotgun, but it really is dealer's choice. It just has to be one of the stronger shotguns. So the M870 is fine, the KSG is great, but I decided to go with this one because it's got that mag that sits between the M870 and the KSG with 8 rounds, and it just feels real good. And then I got damage to armor, damage to targets out of cover, and I'm running pummel. Not really for the damage, although it's helpful, but it's for the mag refill when it kicks in. But to be honest with you, with the 8 rounds, it's not that important that you have that. I did run this with the Thorn, and it also felt really good. It's just that, well, I'd rather have the reload plus the damage than just damage. Even further, I'd rather have the reload than damage at all. And I did try this with preservation, but the bonus armor and the armor regen we have is just too strong for preservation to really even make a difference. But you can just go pure damage if you want. It will help a little bit. I'm running the Nemesis as a backup. I really don't use it, but I do use the TAC 50. This is another variable slot. You don't have to use the TAC 50. I like using it to lock in my range. And the fights go so fast that you really only have one opportunity to do that because you're clearing control points so quickly. Sometimes you get a second opportunity. So that's why it's not critical to run the TAC 50. The Nemesis can do the job too. That range by TAC 50 is hitting at about 25 million to 35 million on the head outside of Apex Predator, so that's pretty darn good damage, and that's because it's getting the amplified damage buff from the modifiers. So otherwise you can run Firewall and get a better shield that gives you more damage also, but damage isn't a huge issue with this build, but any damage helps. You could also run Survivalist for more protection from elites, Gunner for armor on kill, but I decided just to go for the TAC 50. It's totally preference. So you can access your modifiers by going to this device up here. You're gonna have the global modifier always on, and we're playing primarily into the short range and the long range with this build. So we're gonna get either 1.2x amplified damage or 150% amplified damage. I'm running the all-out active modifier. This allows me to lock in that range. When I am doing that, it's for the long range, and that just sort of makes the headshot killing a little bit easier, but it still functions really well without locking this in, which is why it's fine if you only do this once per control point. I'm using bait and switch. I felt like this was the best here because it's thrown us over the top with the hazard protection. We're probably in many cases way over 100% hazard protection, and that's okay. Tapper is the long range I'm going for. Now this is optional, but this is giving me another 150% headshot damage. I did run it without this and the build still works. The downside of this is that it does rely a little bit more on precision because your body shots are going to be greatly reduced, but your headshots will be greatly increased. The pros of this is that when you have your active modifier locked in, you're just reaping in that reward. The con of this is that the greatly reduced body shot damage is always. But with this build, I'm just so used to always going for the head that it's not really much of an issue for me. And that's what's also good about carrying a sniper as a backup weapon. So that way, even if you don't have your active modifier locked in, you can do so with that sniper. But even if you're not locking it in, you can pick off an enemy at long range and get a big boost to your Headhunter and then transfer that with your shotgun at short range on your next headshot. So that still works. works. So it's still a huge benefit to have this long range buff. If you weren't gonna run Tapper, your best shot would just be to not run any long range. And then you can look at running Liability, which is gonna give you another 30% more damage at the cost of increased incoming damage of 15%. That's only from armored targets, and you are running protection from elites that will offset that a little bit. You do have to keep in mind that you're performing so well, you don't really need any passive modifier. So you can just take the weapon handling or the non-damage buffs. Speaking of which, our final passive modifier is drawback. So weapon handling is increased by 50% of headshot damage while there are enemies within short range, which is going to help your reload and your weapon sway as well as your recoil. All right, Bandidos, this one really does work. Have fun with it. Catch you on the next one. Thank you for hanging out with me today. My name is Tuxedo Bandido. That's Tito Bandido.
What's crack-a-lackin'?
This was another episode of The Division 2. If you found this video helpful, subscribe, like, and turn on notifications to ensure you don't miss out on the fantastic experiences waiting for you in The Division 2. And if you like builds like this, check out the recommended build video I have here for you. If you have anything you want to see covered, be sure to let me know in the comments below. And thank you to all the channel members and donors who make everything possible. Tux Nation wouldn't be without you.
When you buy a game from Ubisoft, enter the creator code Tuxedo Bandido to support the channel. Easy peasy. Now maybe this cheapskate can afford to sign me up for that dating app I've had my eyes on.
Follow me.
I get it.